Hello, friends, and welcome back to Film Chewing. We are back again to talk The Penguin Season 1, Episode 6, titled Gold Summit. And I went back to saying Season 1 because I've heard rumors that there may be a Season 2.
Oh, boy.
So I'm not sure what that would entail, but I've heard that some of the creators are teasing a possibility, so fingers crossed. But I'm here again with Jarrod. And Jarrod, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, and hope you're doing good as well.
Yeah, good stuff.
And, I mean, success breeds this kind of speculation and possibility of, and it seems like the show has seen a bit of a success. So, it's always good when you're excited about something, you're in on the ground floor, and you're hoping it's going to do well, but you never know because. We could be the fringe, but now we're seeing that it's actually getting a lot of critical praise and it's catching on in popularity too. So that's always nice.
Yeah, I think it seems like the turning point was episode 4. I feel like that's kind of the episode that kind of gave it a boost, at least from what I've been reading and seeing, and it seems to get higher ratings every episode, so it's encouraging. And I've heard of they're trying to think of other Batman villains to give a spin-off to. So it's good news and it's also bad news because you want to do enough that it's it's enough, but you don't want to do it too much, and then the quality goes down as you create more, and eventually you're going to have that stinker, and then it kind of kills the whole thing. So it's tough. It's a blessing and a curse, I guess.
Yeah. HBO has a pretty good track record for their shows, and they've been known not to make things, continuing on unnecessarily. Some cool shows like The Leftovers. There was 3 seasons, and boom, that was it. That's what you get. And 6 Feet Under is the same kind of deal, and so hopefully if it definitely stays in the HBO sphere, if they do more stuff, hopefully they'll keep the quality and keep the keep our interest, because oversaturation is the worst thing, so
just ask Disney and Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gold Summit, it was, again, we have these, it impresses me how this show has managed to portray Penguin as this cold-blooded, ruthless killer who will do anything to get ahead. And then you have these really tender moments with his mom that you can tell he really cares for her, and he's those moments with her. So I've been impressed so far with how they've been able to manage or have that balance.
Yeah, and this episode in particular had a large section of dealing with mom, and all the things that they're going through. So that was actually quite the extended scene there between them, and it was, like you said, it was a showed a side of Oz that we is the opposite of what we've seen from him when dealing with his enemies and dealing with the gangs and what have you.
Yeah, it's good to have that duality with the character and not just be one note, because you have both sides, and it's kind of much like Breaking Bad with Walter White, or even not so much The Sopranos with Tony, maybe a little bit. You get that?
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
So not an easy balance to keep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And one thing I like a bit about this particular episode was we had a bit of time pass. It was we saw, and it wasn't like announced or anything like that. 3 months later, they just gave you little clues and hints that it's been a little while, and Oz has been building his base and building his influence, and then we see the frustration of the Maroney guy, and Sophia, and the fact that they haven't yet tracked him down. So that, it was all, I was interested that they had that sense of time going by, and like we said the last episode, we kind of had a resetting of home and power base, and now time passes and we're getting into the next phase of this whole operation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the scene with Salvatore, he's really bonding with Sophia too, because he prepares that meal, and he mentions that he was taught the meat. His wife taught him how to kind of the process to cook it, and he mentions it. She taught me how to, so I can pass it down. And he looked at her almost like in a fatherly way, that they're family now.
Yeah, they kind of it seems like they've kind of latched on to each other as replacements for what they've lost, whether that loss was self-inflicted or not. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what it looks like at this point. Who knows what's going to happen? But because I don't trust them to not be volatile enough to not have something go wrong between them in the future. But at this point, at least, they seem to have found a balance with themselves, and of course they have a common enemy, which always helps with that kind of a balance.
Yeah. And it's kind of, it's interesting to see the Penguin in that position now, considering he started off as a henchman, and now he is public enemy number one for the two crime families left, or what's left of the Salvatores, and now the Gigantes are left. But it's interesting to see how much power he has and how he's been able to upset so many people and still not get caught yet.
Yeah, well, I think that's that has to do with where he chose to plant his base, his home. Mm-hmm. It's it's a well hidden secret, and I like how that is part of what goes wrong eventually towards the end of the show. That well hidden secret gets revealed through Oz's poor handling of his relationship with his girlfriend. Now, I forget her name.
The character's right here. That is Eve.
Eve, right? Yeah. So there was a lot of interesting dynamics that led to that point where Sophia, eventually finds out where everybody's holed up, and so that was, it was pretty cool. I like how the Penguin is growing these shrooms. He's got this business going on. He's referred to as the weed, by the crime families, and just a whole growing and gardening references was pretty interesting.
I didn't catch that. Yeah,
how they went through that, and then he has to deal with his mother, and we had those touching scenes with his mother, and she's basically asking him to to put her out of her misery at some point. Mm-hmm. And that's, you see the struggle on his face when she asked him that, and it was very well. It was very touching. It was strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful scene, and where the episode ends, because you mentioned the scene with his mom and kind of the her story of this episode, it seems like they're setting it up for something terrible to happen to her.
Yeah, quite the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
This episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But in the meantime, what was it that happened? That something happened that perpetuated Oz suddenly giving away the shrooms. I'm trying to remember what that was.
Oh yeah, because so Salvatore and Sophia they knew that Oz was selling bliss, and they couldn't find him. They were following the dealers, and they were losing the dealers because they were going underground and they couldn't figure out where they were going. So to send a message, they started to kill them and cut off their fingers. To send them a message and scare everyone, which worked. I mean, it's if these are people from Crown Point who were making extra money by doing this, and then now they're getting murdered and hung in the streets like that. It definitely sends a message.
Yeah, and so he gets that message, and he once again, when things go wrong, Oz comes in with the sudden new plan that he's going to implement. He's always adjusting on the fly, just like we've seen through the whole series here. And so I just thought that was an excellent continuation of his characterization and how he deals with things. And that, so that was just very cool.
Yeah. I was surprised when he just gave it all away, but it kind of made it because he's creating demand.
Yeah,
I guess, and he's putting it almost like he's rubbing their nose in it, that he's giving it away.
Yeah. yeah. He doesn't hold back from that either. He's got that chaotic streak in him, and it's something else. Yeah, and then when of course Squid starts getting in Vic's face, I knew right away that Squid was going to die. I just had this feeling that he was going to push Vic too far, and I had forgotten that Vic pretty much grew up with this guy in this neighborhood. And so that was an interesting revelation. That I don't know if they mentioned that like in season 1 or episode 1 or 2.
I think that was in 2.
Was that like when he was before the flood and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was right around, I think so.
Yeah, and so Vic was bringing his concerns to Oz, but Oz was kind of in the middle of something and wasn't really, giving it his full attention. And so once again, Vic takes something upon himself. He takes charge. He acts and he deals with the situation like a true gangster, and he doesn't like it when he did it, but he really is in the life now. He's like solidly in there. He really has Oz's full trust in, he's in.
Yeah, I like the moment where he pulls him in after he kind of realizes that he killed Squid, and he tells him it'll get easier instead of
great line.
Yeah,
great line. I was just like, oh man, that's
that was really good.
Yeah outstanding and just the whole scene between Squid and Vic, where you just you see the whole time that Squid just keeps saying things that do not line up with how Vic wants stuff to go, and I was just like, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and you just knew that Vic was going to have to do something about this guy.
Yeah. So it was set up. It was set up because we saw Squid. He watched Vic and Oz's mom walk in, so he knew we kind of knew something would happen with Squid. I did notice too that Vic, after this time jump, he isn't stuttering as much, because I feel like he was nervous. He would stutter more when he was nervous or when he was uncomfortable, and it's almost like he feels more comfortable now. So he still stutters, but not as much, because it feels like he's gaining confidence and he's settling into his role as a criminal.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. And yeah, and and it's like Squid was kind of dumb by giving away the fact that he saw Vic with he didn't know who she was, but with Oz's mom. But Squid also didn't realize the level that Vic had reached in his career as a criminal. And so to Squid, Vic was just, the other kid on the street that he knew still. And I just love how that was all portrayed. It was because it just made so much sense that Squid would not have that insight into who Vic was now, and just great stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff. And it's almost like Squid was almost like the neighborhood bully, and Vic overcame that. He kind of, he's not afraid. He wasn't as afraid of him as he was before, because it feels like Squid was this. For Vic, it was this really imposing character, and he conquered that. It sounds bad. It sounds wrong, but he's that's how far he's come. That's how far he's kind of how far gone he is, I guess. To do that.
Yeah. Well, he overcame it in the way of the Penguin, the way that Oz would, which of course is really bad. He's a bad guy.
It's great stuff though, seeing Vic's journey from episode 1 to now. It's just seeing his character grow, and I wonder what'll happen to him in a room alone, and really the only thing that will save Oz's mom is Vic from Sophia, and I don't know if he can. It seems like Sophia is another violent, dangerous person that I don't know if Vic can survive, or if maybe Sophia will leave him alive, but it doesn't look good for Oz's mom.
Yeah, no, and it was at the end, Oz wasn't there, right? It was Vic and his mom, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When Sophia walks in, yeah, hell of a cliffhanger there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, how did Sophia get there? She goes and visits Eve, and yes, as soon as Eve opened that door, I was like, oh. Here we go. I know there's going to be some good dialogue here.
Yeah.
Just by what we already knew about those two characters and their relationship to Oz, you kind of just had this feeling that sparks were going to fly between them. And I was like, oh, this is good. This is really good. And it didn't disappoint. It was really, really nice scene.
Yeah, I thought Sophia was going to kill her at the end, because that's kind of what she does, and she's not the most reasonable person. But it seems like she does have a code of some kind, or at least she found something in common with Eve. She feels like Eve is another victim of the Penguin, someone who he's taken advantage of and kind of put in harm's way, when Eve really hasn't benefited much from what Penguin's up to, because she didn't go with him, and she does decide to give up his location after that. She knows she's gonna survive. So
Yeah.
that was a wonderful scene, though. That was a really good scene.
Yeah. Well, the very fact that Eve, of course, found out that it wasn't Sophia, that was the hangman that killed her, because she knew some of the people, the girls that died as a result of Carmine Falcone, and so that information, and you could say, well, why would she believe Sophia? But just the way their interaction went, the way their dialogue went, you could definitely understand why she would suddenly believe her, because something suddenly clicked. It seemed to make sense to that character, and it also makes sense for Sophia's character not to kill her, because she has been complaining about the men in her life the whole series, and so it's not out of character for her to say, all right, I'm going to let this one live, because like you said, she's been a victim of the Oz as well, a victim of a man, and so it just made wonderful sense that the way things went.
Yeah, it was. I think I read that was so the actress who plays Sophia, I forget her name, her favorite scene of the series, Kristen Milotti.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really great performances too, all the way around. I mean, Colin Farrell as a penguin, of course. Sophia, Frances Cobb, who plays Oz's mom. Again, that was another great. The way that her body would move, and the way that when she stood up and struggled to stand, and at the end her dancing, and I mean, just all the little details that they had in was just really great. Impressive for a quote unquote comic book show.
Oh, is this a comic book show? Oh.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
what am I doing here?
Yeah, it doesn't have that feel to it. It doesn't have the kind of it's not very there's no casualness or silliness. It's very serious. It's very drama heavy, and so, but it's perfect. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, no, it's definitely taking a different tact to the to any of the villain, super villain, or comic book tropes that we're used to. It's not falling into any of those. It's using more of the tropes from your mafia style films and what have you. It's not relying on the comic book tropes, but it still throws in little reminders here and there of its roots, while still definitely focusing on the drama aspects and the crime aspect of it.
Yeah, what we talked before we started recording. We've been talking about what the titles of each episode mean, and I feel like this is the one where we kind of sort of had an idea, but at least the Gold Summit where they meet, the summit where Oz meets with the other gang leaders. He calls it the summit, and it's a historic event for Gotham. But the Gold Summit, I'm not quite sure what the gold part of it means.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, because I did notice that at that summit, of course, Oz gives his big speech, and when he's giving that big speech, things get revealed. Some information that he gives up in order to try to get them to be on his side. He gives up a little information, a little bit of honesty, to try to lure them in, and those kind of revelations also kind of coincided with um, getting electricity back and everything being lit up at the end, kind of like
Oh yeah.
everything's revealed. And I
Mm.
love how they put that together cinematically. It's like you have a big revelation of light, let there be light, and there's a bunch of light, and you have the Penguin revealing his plans and revealing
Mm.
everything, a lot of other stuff about him and what he plans for the city. And I just love that joining of that symbolism of revelation
Hmm.
at the end of the episode. It was just so well done.
No, I didn't even think of it that way. You mentioned it. The kind of they're exposed in a way. The lights are back on, and they're no longer hiding in the shadows or in the cold.
Yeah, yeah. And if you remember at the beginning of the episode, somebody mentioned that, I think it was the Penguin actually that mentioned they're sending all the electricity to the rich folks, and so that was once again it signaled that change at the end when they got the electricity and everything's like, this is it. We're setting the stage now. You only have 2 episodes left, and the shit's gonna go down.
I don't even know where they're going to go from here. I mean, so Oz has the gangs. They join forces. So that's kind of one thing that happened. To move the story forward, we have Sophia and Falcone, Salvatore working together. We have Bliss, the business moving ahead. Vic is changing and evolving, not for the best. So with only 2 hours to go, I'm not sure where they go. I mean, I'm sure they have it. Obviously, they have it figured out, but it's going to be very interesting to see how everything wraps up.
Yeah, it is going to be very interesting. I'm very much looking forward to it. And yeah, so this Gold Summit. I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that name, but to me, this was an episode about revelation, about revealing some things that were hidden. When you talk about that aspect of electricity, and then the aspect of the summit, the gangs, the revelation of Eve to Sophia, Sophia to Eve, about who the Hangman was, and then Eve to Sophia about where Oz can be found, and the revelation of who Vic has become. And so once this stage is now set with all this out in the open, it seems the players are in place for something to happen. With the cliffhanger we get here, does Sophia do something here that's going to really set stage in motion for almost, probably an all-out war between the gangs and Penguin and the families? And that's my guess. What's she gonna do here? That's gonna spark this war between, a more open war, not the hidden one that's been going on.
You do also wonder too, because when now that Salvatore and Sophia are working together, they don't seem to have much of an army. So, and Oz doesn't have much of an army either. He just has some dealers. So they're really powerful forces, but they don't have a whole lot of muscle just yet.
Yeah.
So maybe the gangs that Oz is working with will help him in that area.
Yeah. I that's what I was thinking. I was thinking the gangs, the muscle. Because he was talking to like several different people there, different leaders. And I imagine the families can just hire muscle if they need to. So we'll see how that goes.
So do you think Oz's mom will survive?
That's a good question. What is, what's going to set it off? Is it Sophia killing his mom? I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know.
I have a feeling that if anything, it might be Sophia killing Vic.
Ooh.
Because Oz really likes Vic right now. And that could be the tragic thing that's going to really send him over the edge. Turn him into the penguin that we kind of know, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, that whoever dies, one of the two dies or both, I think that's going to be what... Because the penguin is a killer. He is ruthless, but
yeah.
Losing one of them will send him over the edge to another stratosphere of villain, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
The building blocks of villainy.
Yeah, I mean it's because he almost feels like Vic is like a son for him, or a part of the family.
Yeah,
the way he's connected to him.
Yeah, at this point, it seems that way. The way he reacted when Vic told him what he had to do about Squid, was a very fatherly moment. Kind of twisted, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, twisted, very twisted.
It gets easier. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one. I'm trying to think what else in this episode. Really great scenes. I did read that some of the critics mentioned that this episode was spinning its wheels or not moving ahead too much, but I don't know. I mean, I think the characters and maybe not plot wise, but the characters are definitely moving. I don't know where it's spinning its wheels. I didn't get that.
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, that was a very long scene with him dealing with his mother. Maybe some people felt it was too long. Maybe that, that could have been a little quicker, but I don't know. The acting was so good, and it didn't bother me at all that it took 5 or 10 minutes to get through that scene or whatever it was. I was engrossed the whole time, and maybe I don't know, maybe they thought the beginning scene with Sophia and Maroney, Sal. So yeah. Sophia and Sal in the kitchen, maybe they didn't feel that was compelling enough. Who knows with these critics? I don't know, but to me, it played on the theme of father figure in this episode, and you have to show that. You have to show Sal cooking for his family stand-in, and Oz taking care of his family, and looking at Vic as and being a father figure of sorts to Vic, and and it's all twisted. Like even the Sal Sophia relationship. Who knows what?
Yeah.
They're not all. They're killers too. So it's all twisted, but that is the common thread, thematically in the show. So, Fortunately, I don't read stuff like online. So,
yeah, I was just kind of looking at kind of reviews and just noticed that there was a couple of reviews that I think most critics rated it as an okay episode, but not every episode can be, pedal to the metal. 100, there has to be these tender, quiet moments. That's what really builds the characters and develops them. You can't have it action and constant, because otherwise those scenes wouldn't mean as much if it was just that all the time. It's not a John Wick TV show.
Yeah, right. And you gotta have some calm before the storm.
Right.
Otherwise the storm has no emotional payoff.
Yeah.
If you don't have that. And I think every episode has been paced very well and has been paced in a manner to bring out, to set you up for what comes next.
Yeah.
In every case, and I think it's been doing it's I think it's outstanding. I'm really impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, and usually when a season's about to wrap up, especially if it's a one season kind of show, you expect the an episode or two towards the end to be a little, not only say slower, but a little quieter, to build and to develop and to kind of prepare you for the conclusion. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I didn't get it, but yeah.
You have to stay away from that one.
Yeah, exactly. There was some rumors that I read that Robert Pattinson had made an appearance in this episode because the in the first scene there's someone riding a motorcycle. It's Vic riding the motorcycle underground, but it's very similar to the scene in the movie where Bruce Wayne is riding his motorcycle. But it was just, I took it as a kind of a wink and a nod to the movie. Kind of, it was similar enough that it was just kind of a callback. But I think people are too. I'm really glad we haven't really gotten very many mentions of Batman, or I don't think we're going to see him at all. And I like that. I don't think it needs that. I don't think he needs to be in the story just yet.
Yeah, no, this show is so good, and it's quite capable of standing on its own.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the very last scene of the last episode or something. We'll get
I mean, it could be a capstone, of sorts. It kind of a dual announcement of the Penguin becoming the supervillain we know he does become. That would be like the capstone of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Just an announcement of a sorts. But anything more than that, I think would be overkill.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
Yeah. Don't need it at all. Yeah, anything else in your notes?
No, I think we got everything. Yeah. Yep.
So if you had to, I know you kind of mentioned you think Vic might be the one to die. So what's your prediction? Which of them, or will both of them die, or neither of them die? Vic or Oz's mom?
If I have to guess, make a prediction, I would unfortunately say it was Vic. As much as we come to like him, it would be, I think, a bit too convenient for his mother to die when she just asked him to kill her if he needs to. I think that would be a little too convenient, but I think Vic would be quite the shock to the system for the Penguin and would send him over the edge.
So I'm thinking either she takes them both hostage, or at least takes the mom hostage and kills Vic, or maybe leaves Vic on the edge of death to send a message.
Mm.
But yeah, it'll be, that last scene was the last shot. It's good. It'd be good. It's be a good episode 7 for sure.
Yeah. No, it was cool that, because I wasn't paying attention to how much time went by as I was watching this, and you see her come in and I'm like, oh no, and then it stops and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I thought we'd have at least a little bit of, that they would acknowledge that she's there or something, but very ominous. Definitely. Well, good stuff. Yeah. Only 2 more to go. Almost there.
Yeah, that's cool, but it's also like, no, there's only 2 more.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it's gone quick. 2 more to go. Really curious to see how they wrap this up, or how it connects to the movie, or just how they'd handle the ending one way or another. If it's open-ended to lead into the movie, or if it's going to be a kind of a closed book, at least a satisfying ending until the next movie, or how that's all going to work. But Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
So until next week, Jarrod, where can people find you?
You can find me at the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel, and you can find me on pagechewing.com on the forums, and where you can hop on a bunch of discussions and check out all of our podcasts we have going on there.
We have a couple here. Speculative Speculations. We have Page Chewing. We have lots of other things we're always up to causing trouble. So come by and say hello. Love to have you, and let us know what you think of the episode. If you enjoyed it, if you didn't, if you thought it was too slow, is it spinning its wheels? Is it great? Let us know your thoughts, and if you have any predictions, we'd love to hear those too. So we will talk to everyone next week.